It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and we're looking at the weekend of June 8th, 1990. And while there is one movie that we're looking at today, we have actually two movies we're looking at today because Box Office Mojo, once again, completely doesn't tell me what weekend a specific movie comes out because we have a movie that actually came out 2 weeks ago. But I'm going to throw it into here. I could have thrown it into a 1990 leftover show, but I'm going to do it today. So, before we get to that one, though, let's talk about the big new release that came out this weekend, another 48 Hours. Here you've got Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte. They're back together again, 8 years after the original movie, really established the buddy cop comedy genre that would follow in the near next decade. It's been 8 long years. The director's back for this. Many of the writers from some of the most popular action movies at the time, Die Hard, Beverly Hills Cop, they're together on this one. Surely they can find that magic again, right? Right? Holy crap, did they screw the pooch on this one big time. Um, it's, it's amazing when you really think about this movie and how, like, you wouldn't expect this movie to be a development hell type of a movie, but try being a development hell movie that was in so much development hell that it was literally the week of the movie's release that they finally put the movie together and they just did, like, what were you thinking? Because, like, here's what happened with this movie. The original cut of this movie was 145 minutes long. Director Walter Hill actually made the cut. It was either him and the Paramount studio. Paramount wanted to cut it down to at least 2 hours. And then, the week before it was supposed to be released, Total Recall came out. It became a big hit, and Paramount got so worried that they actually cut 25 minutes out of the movie. So, they cut down a movie that was originally 145 minutes to 140 minutes to 95 minutes in 1 week before the movie was supposed to come out. Just, wow. How did you screw that up big time? And it got so bad that one of the original actors from 48 Hours, Frank McRae, who reprised his role in this movie, his scenes were cut entirely except for one shot where he was in the background. That's it. They cut it down to also make it a faster-paced action comedy, and that was not the original 48 Hours. It was just like, remember, this all happened a week before the movie was supposed to come out. They cut all the scenes out, all because Total Recall made so much money at the box office, and Paramount was so scared that this movie was not going to make any money that they cut almost a third of the movie out. It's just like, just wow, man. How did you screw this up? And it shows on screen. There's just so many plot holes, so many continuity errors, so many mistakes in this movie. It hurt to watch this movie the first time I saw it, because I saw it on when I first got it. We watched it again recently when the movie came out on Paramount's Presents Classic Collection on Blu-ray, and I forgot how bad this movie was. This is a mess of a movie. I mean, oh my god. Like, the stuff with Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy, it still works. It still that chemistry is still there, but it's very few and far between this time around because of everything going on behind the scenes. Like when you cut almost 50 minutes worth of material out of a movie a week before you're supposed to make the movie come out, it gets hard to really defend this movie because it's just like, where's the rest of that footage? Like, why don't you actually put that rest of that footage out there? And to this day, we still haven't seen that footage. Even on this newest Blu-ray release they did recently, it's not on that deep Blu-ray, and it's just like, why not include that on there? You've got all this footage there. You could have at least shown it to people, but it's just like, nope, it's just lost forever. And I mean, I guess it worked in the end because it did make more money than the first movie did, not by much, like $2 million more domestically than the $78 million that 48 Hours made, which did it. Let me just double check to make sure I got it right. Yeah, actually, it was more than that. It was it made I had the numbers here for a second. Give me 1 minute. Yeah, I was right before. It made $2 million more than the original film did. $78 million for the first one, $80 million for the second movie, and it was a box office disappointment because of how much money was put into it and how profits were minimized. And this was also the beginning of kind of the end of the long-time relationship between Murphy and Paramount Pictures, because Eddie Murphy had most of all of his movies at this point were released by Paramount Pictures. So this movie was kind of the start of the downfall of that, because he wouldn't make another movie with it. He'd still make a couple. He still made a Boomerang, and then he made Beverly Hills Cop 3 and Vampire in Brooklyn. But after that, there was a long period where he didn't make as many movies as he did with them in the beginning of his career. But you could tell that this movie led to the beginning of the end of that long-term relationship between Murphy and Paramount Pictures. And unfortunately, the cut of the movie that we have out there speaks for itself. It's a movie that's just like, it's a mess of a movie, man. It's just a movie that just doesn't work. And it's one of those things where it's just like, what could have been? Like, what could have been if you actually kept that stuff in there? And or even let people see what you were going to do. And it's just like, sadly, it's not there anymore. And it's just like, it's just another one of those what could have been moments. But, yeah, another 48 hours. It has some moments that are still kind of good, but it definitely pales in comparison to the first movie, for sure. So, yeah, that's another 48 hours. But let's go ahead and move on to the second movie, which came out a couple weeks ago, and that was Firebirds. See if you can guess what movie they were trying to copy here, because I really don't think you're going to get it. So let's take a look. Yeah, you thought Days of Thunder was the big Top Gun ripoff of 1990. I mean, like I said, Top Gun much? I mean, good lord. Like, Disney, I expect better from you when you try to copy your competitors, but holy crap, this is just a straight-up ripoff of Top Gun from so many levels. I mean, good lord. I mean, you see it in the trailer there. It's just like, you replace Tom Cruise with Nicolas Cage, you replace Kelly McGillis with Sean Young, you replace Val Kilmer with Tommy Lee Jones, you replace many of the same elements from Top Gun, put it into this movie. The movie even had a different title, Wings of the Apache, but I guarantee you they changed the Firebirds to be a cooler title like Top Gun was. Firebirds, man. It's just like, sadly, this movie does not have the same wit, the same over-the-top fun, the same stunts and action sequences that made the original Top Gun stand out, especially not the same soundtrack that made Top Gun so memorable. I mean, like I said before, the soundtrack to Top Gun is much more memorable than the actual movie is. This movie doesn't even have that. It's just like, wow, I mean, just what a mess of a movie this is. Like, I mean, it's baffling. It's really baffling that Disney looked at this and said, yeah, this is going to be the next Top Gun. I mean, we know exactly what we're doing. We're going to even put it in the same weekend that Top Gun opened up in 4 years ago. We're ready for it. Yeah, let's do it. And then, no. Just no. It's just, I don't have anything more to say about this movie, quite honestly. It's just, it is exactly what it is. It's one of the worst Top Gun ripoffs you'll ever see. And there was a lot of Top Gun ripoffs back then, but this was definitely one of, if not the worst of the bunch. So yeah, that right there is Firebirds for you. And with that said, that's going to wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. And next time around, considering that we had another 48 hours, which was pretty much the Lethal Weapon 2 of 1990, at least that's what Paramount thought it was going to be, the copycat summer continues with a comic book movie opening up and somebody opening, and the competing studio opening another movie against it. This time around, it's Dick Tracy by Disney and Gremlins 2, the new batch from Warner Brothers. See how Warner Brothers released Batman the year before and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids by Disney on the same day. Flip those studios around. It's now Disney with the comic book movie and Warner Brothers with the comedy to follow it. And then apparently Milo and Otis was re-released in the theaters, so I'm not going to really talk about that one again. But if you do want to hear my thoughts on the original release of Milo and Otis, I'll put the card up for when I did that. But next time around, we'll look at both Dick Tracy and Gremlins 2, the new batches. Those were the two big new releases. But other than that, though, thank you guys for watching. And as always, if you want to see more videos like this, check out the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next episode. So thank you for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And until then, as always, take care.